Before you is a walrus of a man seated behind a large desk. He looks up from his work, not the least bit surprised to see you. With great effort, he straightens himself up in his chair, yet says nothing. He simply stares at you.
Welcome, Mr. Dubois, Mr. Kitsuragi. It's good of you two to stop by. Please, have a seat. I'm Everard Clare, head of the Debarders Union here in Martinez. I'd offer you my hand, but unfortunately my health prevents me from getting up. You understand?
He looks extremely comfortable. The tiny folding chair, on the other hand, looks like a torture device.
You go ahead, detective.
Whatever he has in store for you, it can't be good, he thinks. I'll do my best. Forget about that. What's with this Dubois stuff? You're getting some seriously bad vibes from that name.
Please, Mr. Dubois, let us converse in a civilized manner, as equals. Take a seat. I insist.
It's nothing. Yes, that's probably right. It's nothing. Forget about it. Filter it out. He's trying to throw you off your game with this Dubois nonsense. Don't give him the pleasure.
Excellent, Mr. Dubois. I can see that you're a reasonable man, and reasonable men can be of great use to one another. So tell me, how can the head of the Debarders Union help a representative of the Revachol Citizens Militia today?
The chair you're sitting on has got to be the most uncomfortable chair in the world. It's violating your backside.
Oh, by the way, I heard you got a rather rude reception from a certain Lawrence Gart. Some people have no manners, it pains me to say. This should take care of that nonsense. It should be sufficient to cover your expenses for a few days and patch over your differences with a cafeteria manager. Go ahead, take it.
Hey, that's 25 real. That's good money. Think of all the stuff you could.
Yes, I know Lawrence. He's a real character. No union man in him. A real piece of work, that boy is.
With a grin, he points to the checker game. It's like you're on a game show. At least don't thank him for it.
Is there anything you'd like to say to me? Or...
No.
Cool? I wouldn't go that far. I'm sure there are cooler things than delivering a comically oversized novelty check to a cafeteria manager. But, sure, if that's what's cool nowadays. Now, I'd like to set your mind at ease about one other matter. Your lost gun. Let me assure you, Union people are on it as we speak. I've got my best hounds looking for that lost gun.
His slug-like lips move, but all you hear is an echo. Lost gun. Lost gun. The world is swallowed by a black hole of fear. Only 2 words escape its gravitational pull. Lost and gun. When he said, "Don't worry," he actually meant, be very worried.
I know everything, Harry. Right now, I know that you're worried. Don't be worried. Everything's going to be all right. It's not like you left it loaded. You didn't lose a loaded gun. Local children aren't out there playing with it right now, pointing it into their own mouths. It's in a safe place. I just know it. I have a feeling everything's going to be all right.
Officer, we will deal with this later. We don't need Mr. Clare's help with this.
I wouldn't be so sure about that.
God, you're sweating. Your knee is jerking. You're about to cry, aren't you? You're about to cry because you lost your gun and those children are gonna shoot themselves with it.
Mr. Dubois, you don't look so good.
Despair creeps into you, getting fat on your weakness. Whatever noble intentions you once had as a police officer, it's eaten them all up now. You're still coming up with sentences. That's a step up from total annihilation, right?
I don't dispute that you have been charged with protecting the people of a particularly challenging district. But poverty does not make one a loser. Poverty is just poverty.
Nothing you can say would make you feel any better now. Cop gives up the detective genre for social realism. Another police officer resigned from the RCM following a nervous breakdown. He now lives under a bridge, drinking and occasionally throwing excrement at passers-by, shouting, "I never loved that woman." When asked to comment, former colleagues objected to the theory that his psychological disintegration was precipitated by his wife leaving him. "It's because the Furrows lost that match," said Captain Ptolemy Price, once the man's superior officer. "It's because he couldn't get a big gun from acquisitions, and anyway, police work really burns you out after a while," Satellite Officer Jean-Vic Mayer, the deranged former cop's partner, commented. Sergeant Mac Torson, another former colleague, did not propose any theories, merely saying, whatever happened to him wasn't about birds. He got fucked, that's all. Before you is a walrus of a man. With great effort, he straightens himself up in...
Welcome, Mr. Dubois, Mr. Kitsuragi. I'm Everard Clare. I'd offer you my hand, but unfortunately my health prevents...
He looks extremely comfortable. The tiny folding chair, on the other hand, looks like a torture.
You go ahead, detective.
Whatever he has in store for you, it can't be good. Forget about that. What's with this Dubois stuff? You're getting some seriously bad vibes from that name.
Please, Mr. Dubois.
It's nothing. Yes, that he's trying to throw you off your game.
Very well, Mr. Dubois. I respect a man with strong convictions. I, too, have convictions. One of which is that I will not engage with any man who won't face me at eye level. Should you find yourself more amenable in the future, I'd gladly resume our conversation. But until then, I'm afraid I must ask you to leave.
You're no Titan of Elysium, buddy. He's got you in a fork. Sit down or leave.
Excellent, Mr. Dubois. I can see that you're a reasonable man, and reasonable men can be of great use to one another. So tell me, how can the head of the Debarders Union help a representative of the Revachol City?
The chair you're sitting on has got to be the most uncomfortable chair in the world. It's violating your backside.
Oh, by the way, it should be
Hey, that's 25 real. That's good money. Think of all the stuff you could.
Yes,
With a grin, he points to the checker game. It's like you're on a game show. At least don't thank him for it.
Okay. I respect a man with principles. No handouts, then. Now, I'd like to set your mind at ease about one other matter. Your lost gun. Let me assure you, Union people are on it as we speak. I've got my best hounds looking for that lost gun.
His slug-like lips move, but all you hear, the world is swallowed by a black hole. When he said, don't worry, he actually meant, be very worried.
I know it's not like you left it loaded. You didn't lose a loaded gun. Local children aren't out there playing with it.
God, you're sweating. Your knee is jerking.
Mr. Dubois, you don't look so good.
Despair creeps into you, getting fat on your weakness. You're
Fuck me? Please leave the rage you have for after we finish investigation.
nothing you can say. Cop give. Before, with great effort,
Welcome, Miss. I'd offer you.
he looks extremely
You go ahead, detective.
Whatever he has in store for you, forget about that. What's with this Dubois stuff? You're getting...
Please, Miss.
It's nothing. He's trying to throw you off your game with this Dubois nonsense. Don't...
Very well, Mr. Dubois. I too. Should you find yourself more...
You're no Titan of Elysium, buddy. He's got you in a fork. Sit down or leave.
Excellent, Mr. Dubois. I can see that you're a reason. So tell me, how can the head of the Debarders Union help a representative of the Revachol Citizens Militia today?
The chair you're sitting on has got to be the most uncomfortable chair in the world. It's...
Oh, by the way, I heard you got a rather rude reception from a certain Lawrence. This should take care of that nonsense. It should be sufficient to cover...
Hey, that's 25 real. That's good money. Think of all the...
Yeah.
With a grin, he points to the checker game. It's like you're on a game show. At least don't thank him for it.
Is there anything you'd like to say to me?
No.
Cool? I wouldn't go that far. I'm sure there are cooler things than delivering a comically oversized novelty check to a cafeteria manager. Now, I'd like to set...
His slug-like lip. The world is swallowed by a black hole of fear. Only 2 words escape its gravitational pull. Lost and gun. When he said, "Don't worry," he actually meant, be very worried.
I know it's not like you left it loaded. You didn't lose a loaded gun. Local children aren't out there playing with it right now, pointing it into their own mouths. It's in a safe place. I just know it. I have a feeling everything's going to be all right.
Officer, we will deal with this later. We don't need Mr. Clare's...
I wouldn't be so sure about that.
God, you're sweating. Your knee is jerking. You're about to cry. You want to cry? God, you're weak. Whatever you do, don't cry. He'll think you're disgusting.
Mr. Dubois, you don't look so good.
What is this, Mr. Dubois? He keeps repeating. What is he trying to pull here? You need to cool the fuck down. Chill.
Mr. Dubois! Mr. Dubois! Harry!
While Everard is distracted by your odd behavior, the lieutenant's eyes are mapping everything around you. The folder, desk, papers on the wall.
Mr. Dubois, are you okay? Can I get you a glass of water or something? Are you having some kind of medical emergency?
Maybe you could use your hands somehow, in a kind of throw-in motion, like you're throwing that Mr. Dubois act right back at him. He's Mr. Dubois.
Don't be dramatic. I can see your condition isn't terminal.
What an odd demonstration of... you got me, Harry. I don't even know what. As entertaining as it was, I'm afraid we're wasting our time. And I'm an extremely busy man, as I'm sure you are too.
Okay, enough. We are here to ask you some questions pertaining to a murder investigation.
Am I going to ask? Hell, Harry. You spin-kicked my strongest man in the face. I saw it from my window. Would you ask a man like that how he got into your container yard? It was a figure of speech, Harry. Of course I don't have a window. I'm in a container. Anyway, I assure you, I am a very well-informed man. Information reaches me before I even get the... Of course. Let us dispatch with the formalities. You call me Everard, I call you Harry. My God, so it's true. I didn't want to believe it, but you are a fantastic science fiction amnesiac cop, aren't you? What are the odds of that?
I think the odds of that are very low.
It might be a good idea to hide your confusion. I mean, see what his game is first.
So good to hear that, Harry. Apparently my sources were wrong. However, if you did have a spot of memory trouble, I could help you out. With my big fat folder.
Words flow like a river of honey from his lips. I guess word has already reached him. No matter. No harm done.
Are you trying to tell me you've gotten hold of some of our documents?
Mr. Kitsuragi, would you mind? Me and Harry are talking about his lost identity right now.
Don't just jump to the folder. That's not smart. Shows you're on the edge. Do some probing first.
But of course, Harry. Your precinct is the 41st and you live in Jamrock. You're a Jamrock boy. A long way from home, but that's okay.
He doesn't really seem to know any more about it.
It's Harry. Harry Dubois.
You feel like a Dubois, but you don't feel like a Harry. Strange.
No, I'm really not. You are Harry. Sure, okay. You're Harold. Harmon. Haroldamus. But that's not what the record says. The record says Harry Dubois. A real man's name. Mr. Kitsuragi doesn't seem even slightly empathetic to your memory loss, Harry. I, however, wish to help you any way I can. Family? Harry, you're not a family man. There's not one peep of family in here. Unless you think you're a family man. Do you strike yourself as a family man, Harry? That's why I like you, Harry. A good man knows both his strengths and his weaknesses, and you, my friend, you are one of the all-time greats. Harry, you're not simply a cop, you're a star. A bright shining star in the drab law enforcement sky, outshining all other stars. You're a superstar. Of course I do, Harry. And I'm gonna help you shine. I'm gonna put you on all the big stages, your name in giant neon letters. Harry Dubois.
The giant neon sign reading Harry Dubois, hanging from the Cavalson crane, can be seen all the way to Jamrock. Somewhere in Mirova, a beautiful woman sees the bright glow on the horizon and says to herself, "Oh my God, I shouldn't have left him."
Ah, this? My friends in your organization gave it to me, Harry.
This translates into, haha, you guys are so corrupt.
I find that very suspicious. May I have a look?
I'm afraid this is meant for Union eyes only, Mr. Kitsuragi. I'm sure you understand. Please continue, Harry.
As you look at the folder, Everard covers it with his hand and pets it. He's hiding it from you because it's not a real RCM folder. It's just another one of those brown folders you saw in the file cabinet.
Okay, Harry, you got me. This is from the Census Bureau, not the RCM. Those Census Bureau people are absolutely corrupt. You should do something about them.
He got the name from the Census Bureau, and everything else from your actions here in Martinez.
Yes, Mr. Kitsuragi from the Census Bureau. Like I said, now I'm actually a very busy man. So is there anything else I can do for you, Harry?
That means he doesn't really know anything about you. A pity. The mystery of you will have to remain a mystery for the time being.
Yes, that's what I said. Try to keep up, okay? Let's move on. Yes, your lost gun. My best men are on it. They're turning every stone, searching every playground, asking kids, grandmas, everyone. Your gun will be found, Harry. Let me assure you of that. It's just a matter of time and effort.
The only way to find it seems to be working with him. He might even be holding your gun hostage. Who knows? Only one thing is certain. If you work with him, you're going to get it back. And working with him might be the only way to do it.
Damn it, Harry. That's exactly what it means. I'm only kidding, of course.
Of course. I understand. We help you, you help us.
Oh, of course. That's your main thing here. That's why you're in Martinez. I know everything that goes on around here, and I would love to help, like I'm helping you with your lost gun. I mean, it's no secret that the lynching is connected to the strike. So much to talk about. Honestly, it's been weighing on me so heavily. I understand you need to interview me. But there's a thing that's been keeping me up at night. I want to talk about the hanging. I mean, if we could just calmly talk, exchange information, we could blow this thing wide open.
Yes, that sounds good. Let's do that.
But I can't think straight with this thing weighing on me. You're police officers, aren't you? I have a crazy idea. You guys are basically door-opening machines, incredibly talented at opening doors.
I'm not sure I understand. If you're asking us to break down someone's door, it's not going to happen.
Come now. I just need you to go open a little door for me and leave it unlocked. A simple thing. Absolutely nothing shady about it.
An excellent opportunity presents itself, sire. You could win the trust of the arch-liar, pretend to play into his hand. Then, should you wish, bend his efforts towards your own.
Harry, I'm a very busy man, and more importantly, I don't have that extraordinary physique you do. You look like you could run around all day.
You want to send someone a message that the police are working for you.
I repeat, I'm a very, very busy man, Mr. Kitsuragi, and therefore I owe no one's. It's just a weasel. A weasel lives there. Nothing for you to worry about. A loud blabbering weasel. When weasels feel no one is watching, they start acting foolishly. Just go there, unlock the door, and leave it open. It's been such a burden on me, Harry. I just want this to be over so I can discuss business with you. Harry, my dear friend, I am what people call a local bigwig. I know everything that goes on in Martinez. Fantastic, my friend. Just let me know when it's done and we can take our friendship to the next level. You can get the key from Manana. He's down by the gates. Manana's like a free agent in the Union. Special operations. Hardened socialist. A real free thinker too. He'll tell you precisely where the door is. One last thing, Harry. Just open the door. You don't need to go in or anything. I just want that weasel to come home and see the unlocked door. I don't know what that means, Harry. Shady brew? There are so many moving parts in my operation, I can't keep track of them all. You know what? Don't even tell me. Whatever it is, do it. Surprise me. Just one thing. If you can, make it even shadier.
He sincerely has no idea what you were talking about. And he doesn't care either.
Wait. You need this to get in and out through the gate. Here, you're one of us now. A real red and white Union man. Take care, Harry.
mister. I knew you'd be back to talk with old Leo here. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. It's like Lady Larice said when she opened a bathhouse in the basement of my apartment building. They can only get so far before they're aching to get back. And no trouble at all, mister.
Control panel with several knobs. 2 buttons marked Marsh and Arrête are faded with use. It seems to control the large crane above. Marsh on. Arrête off. With a loud grind, the crane shifts overhead, moving a massive metal container through the air. With a surprisingly quiet thunk, the crane places the container down. This crane was built with a purpose, which has now been fulfilled. To move this container. Who can say? All you know is, it's special.
I can't see how that was worth the ruckus, except for seeing the crane in action, which I admit was satisfying.
Before you stands a cargo container, just one of many in the yard.
You do? Because I don't. There are a million containers here. Why are you fixating on this one? It's a cargo container, Detective, just like all the others. We are not here to interact with containers. We are here to talk to the Union, right?
You attempt to turn the handle, to no avail. The doors seem to be mechanically locked. To your left, the lieutenant considers your actions with some puzzlement. No reply. You're back before the cargo container. You're back before the cargo container. Why are you even trying to open a door with rhetoric?
Because what wasn't an option? Now is not the time to get philosophical, Detective. You can do that after hours.
The already familiar cold touch of plastic welcomes you as you pick up the handset. The already familiar cold touch of plastic welcomes you as you pick up the handset. It's unclear whether you actually have muscle memory. Right now, your finger is just drawing vaguely occult patterns in the air. Sure, why not? Muscle memory is a tricky thing.
So, how'd you like our harbor?
You've been in there, he means. Talked to the boss man too, probably.
It's but a rest area on the path leading across open plains. Right, you talk to the boss, eye to eye, like men of the plain. If you have any more questions, I'm set to talk. A key, huh? What door is this key supposed to open? Oh, say no more. I got you. I got that key right here. And let me tell you, it's mighty good of you to help us out during the strike. Working class solidarity, as they say. I'm not so sure about the hustle grind, but you know, it doesn't matter. It's a good thing you're doing. Thanks. What you're looking for is a basement door behind the greenhouse. That's behind the whirling and rags. That's all I know. Our organization is what you call compartmentalized. Means we keep out of each other's business.
Okay, but where did you get the key from?
The janitor gave it to me. Nice fella. We talked about life and things that really, truly matter. None of this mess we're in. This jiving and juggling. What's it for? To feed our children, I guess. I'm more of a philosophical dock worker. I like to talk about the big picture stuff. Who I am, who you are, what we are fighting for.
He means he's not going to tell you cause he doesn't know. But he will shoot his mouth off with you now that you're working for Evero, who he is and what they're fighting for. This is interesting.
We're negotiating our share. Aye. This stuff, they already covered. It's not enough. Not enough to get ahead. More about keeping us in our place. All of it. However, right now we want all the harbor workers to be on the company's board, so they could take part in the decision-making process.
This seditious talk sounds like communism. Just so we're on the same page, communism is basically wanting to kill the rich people or deporting them to a labor camp in southeast Grad. But don't say that out loud if you're a communist.
No. I don't think I'm a communist. Seeing something of value and saying I want it all to myself is a much older and simpler notion. No science to it at all. Even a weak child can think it. The only things holding someone back are I can't and I shouldn't. I have nothing against communists. They are honorable boyaderos. And they have good analysis. But my own code serves me well. If my code starts failing, a code can fail a man as well as a man can fail a code, then I will have to submit to a new one, which may well be communism. See, I'm primarily a lazy person.
No doubt he's communist enough to call himself such, but he won't. He likely believes that when someone has radical ideas, he should still rather present himself as a self-interested moderate, not as a missionary of a minority ideology. It might come in handy to present ideas as a part of reality, the only reality that exists, instead of some abstract true form. On the other hand, he's not lying when performing this sleight of hand. He's a self-interested moderate.
That's one way to call it, friend. An unnecessarily complicated way.
Laziness, self-interest, and negligence certainly fit the doctrine espoused here.
Is it the dulcet tone of ultra-liberalism I hear?
At least some people are willing to make the necessary sacrifices in order to reach higher and to better the world.
I think it's best you make up your own mind now that you've met him. In my eyes, he is a capable organizer and a decent businessman. I guess you kind of get to be the village chief. He oversees the harbor, makes deals with the owners or other relevant parties, watches out for his own.
By that, you mean corruption?
By heavens, why would he not be corrupt? We live in a harsh and disordered world, see? And in this world, the old man is corrupt for our benefit, and we know it. Appreciate it even. He is, personally, not too lavish. He is reasonably lavish, sure. That's his prerogative. It's not like you want a saintly demeanor on a corrupt motherfucker. That would be a manipulative illusion. Besides, there are no non-corrupt systems in the world anyway, and moralism is the most corrupt of them all.
Not you would like to say. But then there's that weasel door. This man has political theory, and it has not failed him today.
Sure, I've had the necessary free time. Fortunately, there's always time.
The look in his brown eyes conjures up an understanding. For him, having command of his time is the most important thing. It all comes together now. The way he speaks about scabs, his general attitude. He's a follower of a 500-year-old Franco-Nigerian Boyadero code, itself an appropriation of Vespertine cool. That of a noble peasant or a traveling herdsman. True to yourself, independent in your actions, loyal to your friends. No. No. The man sits on the railing, his hands reaching far and wide. Yet it feels as if he could, effortlessly, go even wider, if need be, an endless torrent of time.
The mercenary, eh? Who could have killed him? That's indeed the question. Why even do such a thing? What a thought! Why would noble workers resort to such a thing? Unless they were pushed, of course. Your dead guy was an enemy combatant. It was an agent of the opposition, attempting to undermine our honorable efforts. I ain't the murdering type, but that's just me. Large organizations like our union have all sorts of men, with all sorts of skills.
He's not lying about not doing it himself.
Understood. This has been of limited use. Still, thank you.
No problem. I wish the best to you and your...
Went native on the chief, huh? Those ballerines.
Let's talk about our right.
A lorry stuck in the traffic jam. This big, heavy Grad-made machine is well kept for such an old machine. The windows are clear. They've been recently washed. You can see a lorryman's cabin with personal belongings, stickers, insignia. The driver has adorned his space with a substantial collection of peculiar paraphernalia. The back end of the cabin has a small perch to sleep, large ashtrays. There are several suns and wheels sewn into the curtains. A book with ragged edges catches your notice. The front cover features a large, muscular man. The title reads, Man from Eamdal in the lost city of the Pygmies.
Racist nationalist paraphernalia. Not unusual in this part of town. This is our guy. Likely, yes. This guy's proud of who he is. Drapes it all over his machine.
Small, wrinkled woman does not greet you. The photo, an ambrotype from the turn of the century, as golden as her smile. It's the warmth of a winter night's fire. Maybe she could give you comfort and shelter, some cigarettes and food money. Maybe she's your... Nothing. Her smile just keeps widening. Her hair is gray like lead. No response. Wherever this woman is, your words fail.
Wait. She's just a distracted old woman. Better to leave her alone. Why? I just told you why.
An old monument stands in the middle of the traffic island, pointing toward the sea. It looks as if it's been reassembled piece by piece, secured and mounted in the air with the aid of numerous ropes and rods. A silver plaque on the statue's pedestal reads, I am Philip III, the Squanderer, the greatest of the Philippian kings of Revachol, son of Philip II, the opulent, father of Philip IV, the insane. Even by the standards of the Philippian kings old sumptuous Philip was known for his profligacy. Well, he blew through the whole national treasury, starting the decline of one of the penultimate century's greatest superpowers, the suzerain of Revachol. His own maladministration foreshadowed the fall of the monarchy. During the anti-centennial revolution, an end to his family line and the monarchy on the Insulindian Isola. Stories have it that he had his bedroom converted into a treasure chamber, where he stored unfathomable wealth. Krugerrands, bars of gold, ornate weaponry, armor, and various chalices. He called it the Sol Auron. It was obscene. There were whispers he slept on a huge pile of gold-dipped feathers, like some obese dragon, instead of a bed, like a normal person.
The man certainly knew how to live.
But wait, you haven't even heard about his fabled cocaine addiction. You see, old Philippe wasn't just good at squandering the national treasury on gold and ceremonial weaponry, he was also a prodigious snorter of nose candy. That's what the revolutionaries said 150 years later, right before they emptied out the royal mausoleum and dumped His Majesty's mortal remains in the Insulindian Bay. Cocaine. His Majesty's courtiers said it helped him connect with the higher realms, beneath the cold waters of the Insulindian Bay, thrown there by the revolutionaries after they cleaned out the royal mausoleum. The original was blown apart by communards, then further damaged during the landing of the coalition's airships during the turn-of-the-century revolution, when Martinaise was leveled. Most historians think the coalition's hasty landing may have ultimately saved the statue. If the communards had more time, they would have reduced it up to even finer pieces. Some years ago, a group of liberal, artistically inclined individuals, designers mostly, thought it would be ironic to restore the statue of the most wasteful ruler of Revachol in the poorest part of the city. The statue is supposed to capture the moment it was blown apart, like an instant frozen in time, a rare butterfly trapped in amber, floating on a sea of shit. People in Martinaise tend to disagree, as do many prominent art critics and thought leaders with more nuanced social awareness than the young ironists. Those critics might have it wrong, though. There's more to it than just ironism, but you can't say what precisely. Perhaps this art mystery will be solved at a later time. Philip III, the squanderer, however, with his bronze face up in the air, doesn't seem concerned about what the hoi polloi think of him in death. Not that he ever did in life either. Lonesome, long way home. Here we go. Home awaits. Walk past Station 41 and through the market, past the Boogie Street spearhead to the other side of the lake, the frozen eye at the center of the district. Then past the video rental store on the corner. There, at the end of a street lined with pine trees, a small house no larger than a matchbox. 11 Voyager Road. You no longer live there. Those times are gone. And so are those people. Why did you come here? Why are you still here? And where's the dealer? You have to get back to work. That's all you have now.
Yes? What do you want to know? Good. Me? I don't see how my life is pertinent to the investigation. That's a fair point. All right, for the good of the investigation, what do you want to know? That's correct.
You feel a slight urge to put the lieutenant down for this, but you can't quite muster enough to...
Are they?
You could use a good, normal peer yourself.
That's because I'm half Seolite, or quarter. My father's father was from Seoul. So was my grandmother, but from it's a part of the...
Seoul is a protectionist, isolationist, pan-Isolari state west of the Insulindian Isola. Actually, it's
You're barking up the wrong tree.
a point of pride to him. He's glad to have shut down your question.
No.
The lieutenant nods.
What do you mean? I have no...
The lieutenant's conceptualization skills must be rather rudimentary. The lieutenant is a police officer of the old school, but this isn't an old school case.
I can't say that it does, no. When I need to think, I just use my notebook.
The lieutenant produces his small blue. That's where we all have our...
Good. Let's...
For something, Hunt? No, not much anymore. I'm here to pick up some cargo, but the dock work... Apples.
Apples is exactly the kind of thing you'd say if you had something to hide.
Look, as detective. I come from a long line of lorrymen. We got ancient... Oh, I'm here to pick up a load of fucking apples, man. Just regular, Koiko picked apples.
Koiko may be another derogative for a person from Grad, we think.
Yep, it's one of their main exports. They grow him down South Yekokata. A beautiful place. Got great scenic vistas.
In fact, Yekokata is a desolate wasteland whose name literally translates to Zone of Ecological Catastrophe. It features no scenic vistas and supports virtually no plant or animal life.
Yeah? Says who? Then, I guess they grow apples somewhere else. You can never really tell with those koikos. They're everywhere, except their own homes.
He means the people living in Grad.
Yeah, you know, Gradniks, Gradvolk, those degenerates from Grad. Hey, if the name and description fit by the very grace of nature, who am I to say otherwise? Did you miss the part where I said they aren't here yet? Besides, even if I did have some, I wouldn't go putting my nose in them, huh?
Relax. You've got all you can get here. He probably doesn't even know what he's hauling, even if it is something unsavory. So he'd remain unaccountable.
Oh yeah, they're a big deal. My great-grandfather was a carter, had a royal license and everything. With someone with a cart. What did you think it was? That's how deep into history. Not at all. We're part of a guild and everything, huh? It's very ancient, very prestigious. Goddamn right. They've been trying to fuck us out of our trusting.
That sugary black rum stain on the counter makes you teary-eyed with joy. It's almost touching how syrupy and sticky it is. How long have you been up already? Sweet Lord, a whole hour. And you haven't thought about rum and lemonade in all that time? You've truly extinguished all trace of yourself. Maybe you haven't turned out well for your drinking. Have you thought about that? Get a goddamn rum and lemonade into yourself, boy. Or better yet, lick that stain off the counter. What happened, man? You used to be cool. Go get your boring normal person drink then. Get your drink on and your act together.
Can I help you? Do I have a shaker in my hand? Is this a shaker?
He sounds irritated. And it's not a shaker. It's nothing. He's holding nothing.
Am I wearing a little bow tie? Am I wearing a bow tie and doing this? Am I smiling? Do you see me smiling and shaking my little shaker? No. Do you know why? That's right, I'm the cafeteria manager. I'm glad we cleared that.
Play it calm. This man needs to understand you need a drink to help the community deal with police stuff.
Oh, well, in that case, let me pour you a nice, big, refreshing marinella. Do you want that out of a glass or a pineapple? Don't be an imbecile. I'm not going to serve you a marinella. I have work to do and broken things to fix. If that was all, I'd like to return to it. Yes, have you got it? You must be joking, right? You come here, trash everything, and now you try to pay with a novelty check? This isn't a game show. I'm not going to accept it. You owe me cold, hard money. I want to see that money in the palm of my hand.
You can cash it in at the local frit near the harbor gates, though it might not be enough to cover it.
A lot. A lot for the... Like what?
You see a heavy steel door with a prominent dimple lock. The cobalt blue surface feels rough to touch. It leads to a side building, adjacent to this one. The door does not budge. This trash container is locked. The sliding with a well... Don't. Maybe you shouldn't. There is, but you won't like it. Sweat forms on your brow. Your hand... The smell of rotten food rises to greet you. You see soggy cartons, dirty rags, and organic waste.
We're just in time. This hasn't been emptied for over a week.
You see milk and egg rest with one broken egg in it. Some pasta wrapper. Picking up the soggy packages somehow feels familiar. A box falls into pieces in your hands. Batiste Soleil cereal. There are plastic pasta packages below, and turbo noodles. Nothing of note, however. Among the threadbare kitchen towels, something catches your eye. A pair of denim trousers. As the legs of the slime-covered jeans begin to unspool from the garbage, a rank corpse smell fills the air.
The victim's clothes? Cadaverine odor is faint. If these belong to the deceased, they were removed when he was still in the early stages of decay. Drop them in here, officer. Guitar marked blue jeans. Pockets empty or emptied. He wore them with a belt, too. A white belt. The loops appear stretched, but the belt is missing. That's it. Do you see anything else in there? I have another bag here.
Something slimy catches your eye. A drab, long-sleeved shirt, olive-colored, appears from the food waste, dripping with pus.
This is a military-type overgarment. No label or serial number. This is the kind of rib-knit shirt that's worn over light armor to conceal it in an urban scenario. Anything more?
The rest of the rags are just kitchen variety waste. A yellow old mug that catches your eye. But other than that...
All right. We should go to Gart again and ask if he knows who put the clothes in the trash. It could be as simple as someone from the hostel cleaning the yard. Or that one. I'd advise against confronting that force. Not really. All we know is the victim's clothes are in the trash, the lid was locked, and his establishment had the key. It's just a small loose thread.
The fuck's he on about, kids? You hear that, Kuno? He thinks you're an infant or something.
See?
The lieutenant nods, then looks back into the trash container. It's just organic waste, cold and slimy on your hands. Apple and potato peels, mostly. Unidentified sludge, and the occasional chicken bone thrown in for good measure. But hey, nothing. It's nothing. Nothing more to see here. What's this? A blue piece of plastic sticks out from the apple peels. It's shiny. Looks like the corner of something. Something larger. A clipboard. A blue plastic clipboard with moist papers hanging from it. They look badly damaged, but you can still make out forms and notes, written in a man's handwriting.
Officer, is that your paperwork? It is. Look, the plastic has the RCM street grid on it. You've even got an autopsy form in there. If you don't mind my asking, how could you have let your paperwork end up in the trash? What are you talking about? Doeth thou also thorough inventories? You should take stock of your notes. Make sure it's all there. Official notes contain informants' names. If some of it has fallen into the hands of the RCM's adversaries, bloodletting may well ensue. It will also not hurt to start taking notes on the case. Anyway, where were we?
Some items, such as the ledger you found, are interactable. Go to your inventory and select the interact.
You pick out a broken mug with an oddly racist depiction of the Yellow Man frolicking in saffron, only in its social sensibility.
You've acquired an interactable item. Invest.
The container sounds a muffled gong.
That's one thing off the list. I think we got it all.
The smell of rotten food rises to greet you. You see soggy cartons, dirty rags, and organic waste. The container sounds a muffled gong. It's just a racist mug. What's there to read here? Not much. Oh boy, here we go. What are you going to say about a broken, tossed-away mug that you dug out of the garbage? If you want to earn some change by guilting people, go for it. But if you want to earn real dough, finish the case and start getting paid again. It's the ledger you found in the trash. A pitiful cabbage of white and yellow papers hanging from plastic board, barely held together by a metal clip. This sad display is made complete by the faint smell of urinal cleaner. There's a piece of toilet paper, or is it cleaning tissue? No, it's toilet paper, desperately sticking to the back of the blue plastic clipboard. It's a metaphor for you. Thank you, waterlogged ledger, for spelling it out for us. Below the pathetics, terror. Do not look into its blue heart. It's just toilet paper sticking to the back of the plastic clipboard. You can take it off if you want. If you want it to be kitchen tissue, it can be kitchen tissue. Cool toilet paper. I mean kitchen tissue. It says, everyone look at me and my kitchen tissue covered cop ledger. I don't care. My ledger is droopy and it smells like a urinal. An aluminium block runs the width of the board, biting down on the paperwork. Its crocodile teeth are the only thing keeping the papers together. A regular pencil, the tip worn down to nothing, has been attached to the clip. The surface is interrupted by a silvery sticker. It's rectangular, sparkling with iridescence. You don't know how you didn't notice it before. It is similar to the RCM watermark on your blazer the lieutenant mentioned. Didn't he say something about the headlights of his motor carriage? That you can read these there?
What? Yes, halogen watermark used for adding information to RCM property. It depends. Aside from an anti-counterfeiting stamp, mine has my station number and address. The information varies by date of issue.
Maybe yours will have how many cases you've solved. How many years you've been on the force, he's thinking. It'll have that.
Any capable light with the right wavelength will do. Yes, RCM vehicles have headlights tuned especially to reveal halogen watermarks.
The lieutenant fears this will lead to fiddling with the delicate, folding headlights on his motor carriage. They're dear to him.
Okay.
While a bunch of sodden papers sag from the clipboard in your hand, they're not exactly white. They're yellowed in patches by sunlight and alcohol, and covered in dense blue handwriting. Ink escapes into watercolor patterns, reaching its tendrils across entire pages. The paper itself is checkered, with faint red lines, forming short paragraphs. Once in a while, there's a red stamp that exclaims, "Case files, commit to paper." The case files themselves are plenty. You count more than 100 sodden, crumpled up, earmarked pages falling apart in your hands. They appear to be sufficiently organized and extremely dense, if mostly illegible. Work, strife, poverty, the Jamrock Quarter. These are handwritten logs of investigations dating back to January 51, this year. The exact number is hard to estimate due to missing pages and an odd naming convention. But there are at least 20, maybe 30 cases undertaken, not completed, mind you. It's the middle of March. You have attempted 2 cases a week on average.
Huh? 2 complex cases to undertake is a lot, yes. You really have to push yourself. I would not suggest it, lest you start making mistakes. Two? That's a lot. I didn't mean to say you are making mistakes, by the way. That was presumptuous of me. That's okay. We all do, sooner or later.
Like a fan of gills, the checkered papers dry in your hand. The handwriting is extremely dense, if mostly illegible. Yes, it appears you employ a, shall we say, robust yet literary system. Each investigation has its case number written on the margins. Yet, still more tellingly, most are accompanied by a name, a title, one might say even. One that draws inspiration from snoop fiction and vespertine cop show staples. Yes, all caps. One is called The Next World Mural. Another, The Square Bullet Hole Murders. Another yet, The Unsolvable Case. Others appear more light-hearted. The guys on a couch in an unexpected location, and The Murder at the Ukar Parlor. Even the rare article-free collapsing tenement. Murder features prominently throughout. It's going to take an effort to piece these case files together, but it can be done. Once you're done inspecting them up close.
You mean the alphanumeric? Officer, precinct, time of arrival at the scene? Oh, you mean the titular? Yes, well, so do I. In our defense, almost everyone in the RCM does. It's a holdover from the early days of the RCM, right after the revolution, when the organization had little idea how to do things. It persists in an unofficial capacity. Officers use these titles to refer to their work among themselves. Again, in your defense, I seem to have named one the man with the hole in his head. That was a real person. His death was real. Still, I named it that, to amuse myself. I pray his loved ones never find out. Rail spiked through the head. He died. It was a workplace accident.
There is, for precisely one more. 15 pages near the end remain untouched by the damage. The checkered grid forms a structure of passages, breaking the case into subtasks to accomplish. Once all the tasks are accomplished, the case is complete. Sadly, the ledger only comes with an old, worn-down lead pencil. It's unfitting of this monumental event. The lieutenant looks at his blue notebook. 2 fat, shiny pens hang from the binder, like large caliber bullets on an ammo belt. It's downright incriminating. He has little choice but to give you one, although he really does not want to. He is not really saying anything, just standing there, looking at them. Absolutely motionless at first, then animated slowly, imperceptibly even. The lieutenant begins to browse his notes again, leaving you to the case files. A threat has passed. He is thankful it has passed, and that he's gotten to keep both pens onto the paper with a brash free hand, uncannily similar to the rest of the letters. The wording comes easily. It's almost robotically simple. A language developed for mental rigor and simplicity. Inspect the victim's body. Interview the cafeteria manager. It's not exactly poetry, but poetry would be out of place. A satisfying slash sounds across the paper. You're done, it seems to say. And you, and you. Things to be done and things already done. The composition of reality. This is an extremely useful tool for a detective of the citizens' militia. Now all that remains is to name the case.
No, actually. Any ideas? Ah, yes. I have to tell you, officer, I don't appreciate ironic titles. Other officers will have to use this as reference. If it's idiot or cockfinger, they're not going to get it. They're going to think an idiot and a cockfinger were on this case. So, do you have something less?
Fun is outlawed with this guy. What a knock!
Furies. Yes, well, I don't know. I have to be honest, I'm not experiencing the internal strife that refers to. And also, could you make it less poetic somehow? Just a normal case name, you know? Think, what would that be? A good normal name.
Yes, you know what that normal name is, but it's so plain. Anything else, please.
Okay. It's a good name, but it has one problem. This case has nothing to do with the setting sun. Something more concrete, perhaps? Do you have something concrete?
Usual is boring. We don't do that.
Oh, well, then maybe I can suggest one. Oh, that's actually what I was thinking. The Hanged Man. I like that. A good, strong name. We have a very good name for the case now. I'm going to start calling it the Hanged Man. It's good we sorted this out.
You don't exactly close them, so much as distance yourself from the smelly papers. They're a little further from your nose now. Yes, you can piece them together using the alphanumeric code on the margin. It always begins with HDB 41, then date of initialization and time of arrival on the scene, followed by the title. For example, HDB 41120111700, the Next World Mural. Why yes, your precinct number is 41. Every last alphanumeric in the files begins with it. And these are your case files. It's safe to say HDB are your initials. Harry Dubois, HDB. Still feels like there's something missing from that. This one is relatively easy to reconstruct. Overnight on 1202, a graffito, nay, a mural, appears on an 8-story tenement overlooking central Jamrock. The building is a sparsely inhabited ghost tower, part of a failed real estate development called Grand Couronne. Cause of failure: rent too high. The mural is enormous. 2 silhouettes, a man and a woman, are kissing. The text cut into their form reads, "True love is possible only in the next world. For new people, it is too late for us. Wreak havoc on the middle class. People call it that thing and that fucking thing. It's visible for miles. In 2 days, the station's complaints desk gets clogged with requests to remove the bummer. You and your partner are assigned to the case. The graffito crew is easy to track down. Only the belles-lettres have the literage of industrial paint to cover the surface. One of the graffito artists is rumored to be rich. They take responsibility for the execution, but not the design. The ideologue of the Next World mural, as the crew calls it, remains an unknown. The case files do not show you finding the author of the design. The crew agrees to clean up after themselves. However, your partner, JV, is against the removal, citing public support for conservation. This leads to a debate in Precinct 41, which then spreads to the streets of Jamrock, ending in a rare plebiscite organized by you and the rest of Row 3. The 9,000 people subjected to the mural's message, all of Lakeside, Central Jamrock, and Villalobos, plus half of the eminent domain, participate in the vote. Although the case begins with what appears to be a lot of rambling on the streets as to how juvenile and stupid the mural is, given a choice between 2 options. A staggering 78% of voters choose to keep it. Turns out the opposition were a loud minority, and that love truly is possible in the next world for new people, and it is too late for us. Did anyone ask you what you believe in, man with the smelly toilet ledger? What do you want to tackle next? Or are we done? AKA Leslie and Burke, AKA the public indecency drunk and the property damage drunk, is a cursed case. It has been passed from unsuspecting officer to unsuspecting officer for 10 years. On January 29, the unsolvable case made its way to you. Why you accepted it, it is unclear. Every officer, and indeed most civilians in Jamrock, know it's unsolvable. Leslie will always take his pants off when he's drunk. Burke will always trash everything. It's just what they do. It is their nature. You cannot change the nature of a man, and you can't lock them away because public indecency and small-scale property damage are not punishable by incarceration. The only way for Leslie to stop flashing his genitals to bypassers and for Burke to stop dismantling signage and rear-view mirrors would be for them to stop drinking alcohol, which, in their 40s or 50s, it's hard to tell because of their distorted features, is a medical improbability on par with you ceasing to produce the expression. You would think that, but you're wrong. Where's the fun in exposing your genitals or breaking stuff in your own home? No, Leslie and Burke are on the corner of Main Street and Perdition, because that's where the action is. Can you keep yourself off the streets? Threatening, fines, dragging them to the station, locking them up in the hellholes they live in, locking them up in the station, hypnotherapy, even trying to get the local gang of Zemyaki to take them out. The Zemyaki gave them ethanol so Burke and Leslie would expose and rampage even harder. You tried it all, and still the complaints wouldn't stop, as they hadn't stopped for 10 years. It's plain to see from the files that you, Satellite Officer JV, and Special Consultant TH had more important cases to attend to. You uncover cross-reference to several ongoing investigations, each brought to a standstill every time you drive down Main Street. Because there they are, on the corner of Perdition. And what is Leslie doing? Good, you're learning. If the files are to be trusted, that's all there is to it. That and Burke breaking things, and the fact that they're both drunk. But then again, so are you. The case becomes considerably less comic one day when Burke takes a swing at your ledger. He must have it confused with the property he likes to damage. But the joke's on him. You're drunk out of your mind on potent Pilsner. You slam the hardened plastic board in his face. Then you proceed to beat him unconscious with it. In the process, the ledger sustains damage. The compartment within, reserved for permeable documents, is jammed shut. You stop your assault on the now unconscious Burke to open it, but are unable to do so. The officer began to cry, reports Leslie, who, at this point, is tending to Burke. He came at us, and at us. I think he was trying to kill Burko. While trying to kill Burko, you slowly come around. The permeables compartment is open. You've smashed it open on poor Burko's kneecaps. The good news is, Burke can't walk anymore, can't get out of his apartment, an invalid. With Burke to tend to, Leslie cuts back on the indecent exposure. Maybe he flashes his genitals to Burke, who knows, but both drunks are off the street. The complaints stop. The unsolvable case is solved, which is also why the officer responsible narrowly escapes a disciplinary hearing. The end. Do you want to read another one? It would be very interesting to read about these, wouldn't it? I mean, there seems to be a square-shaped entry wound in the victim's forehead. She's been sitting there for weeks, on her rocking chair, with a square hole in her skull, staring at the wall, her mouth agape. That's all you got. From the half hour you spent piecing it together, all you know is the entry wound was square-shaped. You never found the bullet. And then another body showed up, also with a square hole in his forehead. Who knows? Those pages are missing. What next? Don't worry. One day. One day you may still catch the man with the square gun. Some assholes brought their couch outside and hung out on it. In the middle of the street, on the roof, on the hillside by the motorway. You know, at an unexpected location. They were young, and they thought they looked cool on it. Yes, as you said here, insufferable rock and roll assholes. Young people are the worst. So anyway, you got a complaint about the damn sofa, or couch, or whatever it was. They were leaving it out in all these unexpected and whimsical locations. They took it to where they also took photos of themselves on it, and smoked cigarettes, and drank coffee because they felt it's intellectual. Cigarette butts, coffee cups, stupid couch. You had to clean it all up, and you did. So congratulations to you. Case solved. No, you didn't have time for that. These notes show that you have what is called a real goddamn job. You don't have time to be chasing down the couch assholes. You have a real job to do. What next? Murder. Tum 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 at the hookah parlor was a case originally assigned to an officer called Joseph Mills, who is now dead, of circumstances completely unconnected to murder at the hookah parlor. beaten to death by a throng of Villalobos gang members when him and his partner JM, only initials mentioned, answered a call one night. It's a sad story, and it isn't really represented in your case files. Stop stalling and get to the murder at the hookah parlor. Joseph Mills was on this case that he just couldn't solve, was doing it solo, said it was a real nutcracker, a real brain twister, was on it for, like, a month. The captain got impatient. Shit or get off the pot, Mills. Mills didn't get off the pot. Not yet. He kept at it for a couple of weeks more, racking his brains, running with every theory, as outlandish as they seemed. Still couldn't solve the murder at the hookah parlor. Tough case, he said. Toughest he's ever had. No, he was awful. Awful sense of humor, too. The worst jokes you've ever heard. Really rapey. Still, he'd been on it for months now. Said it was the final case. Said it was uncrackable. That murderer vanished into thin air. That goddamn hookah parlor was all he talked about. Okay, so the case is handed to you because Mills isn't getting anywhere, and you look into it. Here's the setup. A young man is found dead in a hookah parlor. You know, those places where you go and smoke bubblegum-flavored vapor all day. Yeah, really lame. So anyway, young man in his 20s found with his skull busted open, right on the floor of the hookah parlor, in the middle of the day. No one else is in there. Only client that day. In perfect health, too. Some kind of movie producer. No one enters. No one exits. He's just sucking on his watermelon hookah all morning, all noon, like he usually does. He's a regular. No calls, nothing. Just sucking on the hookah until 15:45. Then bam, he's dead on the floor with his skull busted open. Blood everywhere. What happened? How can it be? Mills has no idea. Invisible assassin. Movie deal gone sour. Girl at the counter did it. Nothing fits. Eerie. Man just dropped dead. So you go to the parlor. You see cushions around the table. Table's low, heavy, really sharp edge. See? You can't even read the thing without solving it. Yeah, it was that. Turns out hookah does do something. It turns off your brain's oxygen supply, and you don't notice it until you get up to go to the bathroom. Smoking hookah. Didn't you hear? I don't know. Trying to come up with a movie script, maybe. Anyway, that was Murder at the Hookah Parlor. Joseph Mills wasn't a good detective, and about 30 minutes has passed piecing it together. Next. Not much has changed in the meanwhile. A bunch of sodden papers still sags from the clipboard. Arson, petty theft, you don't exactly. It takes about half. Not much has changed. In the back, you see thin, translucent copier paper. Some neon yellow, some bright red, all covered in boxes, like marching armies. These look like official forms, waiting to be filled out. Then rip them from the binder and hand them out, according to type of form. 3. The topmost are misconduct fines. The middle ones are station calls. And the bottommost are field autopsy forms. Each is easy enough to make sense of. You don't have to be an intellectual giant to do police work. A monetary penalization ranging from 20 to 250 real. Severe cases allow for 1,000 real, but that requires special paperwork. The details of issuing these fines are spread out over the rest of the fields, but they appear pleasantly vague. These are quite sinister in tone. They give a date and time for the person to appear at the specified precinct police station. Below the call are the criminal charges you risk by not appearing. A dozen pages of thin copy paper, bright red in color. You see the parameters of a deceased human form. Yes, all that remains now is to fill those forms and hand them to people. Fines for wrongdoers, interview requests for bad guys, and field autopsies to dead. What delicious power hid within this pathetic mess. You feel better. The rest of the stinking cellulose is much worse for wear. Being sandwiched between the board and the rest of the paperwork must have spared the fragile copier paper. It's made of dark blue plastic, hard enough to beat someone to submission with. The edges are rounded, however. The U4 size board feels thick and heavy in your hand. Light shimmers on its wet surface. On the back you see the embossed letters, RCM, blue. The blue heart. Don't look into it. Something rattles inside, ever so lightly. Is there a hidden compartment? Permeables. It's not hidden per se. The compartment is made for permeable materials that would get damaged if something happened to it. The plastic shimmers like lapis lazuli, but it is not see-through. You cannot see to its center. With your hands, U4-sized pages hang from the clip screwed to the top of the board. The acidic stench of rotting food is rubbed off on the cellulose. It now forms the base of the experience. This base surrounded by a faint air of spoiled meat, the stuff of death itself, and then sprinkled liberally with the citrus zest of toilet cleaner. Is not what you end up doing. You squeeze the plastic to slide it open, but nothing happens. Then you bend it some, then crack it. The goddamn thing is stuck. The ledger quivers in your hand as it shakes.
We should think about calling it a day, maybe. The nights are still miserably cold this time of year. You should take care of that, then. Let's talk to him anyway. An officer of the RCM shouldn't be sleeping in the street. We'll figure something out.
Though he finds this situation frustrating, he is doing his best to not make you feel any worse than you already do.
Can I help you? Thanks. I hope you found what you were looking for. How strange. I certainly didn't put them there. The trash collection service? CS Municipal. I don't see why they would put anything in the trash, though.
Ah, the elusive CS Municipal. I doubt we'll be able to track down who was sent here last and when. This will have to be one of those little threats that solves itself down the road. Thank you anyway.
Sylvie had the keys before I got here, and I can vouch for her. I can vouch for all my staff. None of us would tamper with the crime scene. I think fugue states are more your forte, officer. Yes?
The door is closed. Still no answer. Still nothing. The lieutenant gives you. He doesn't like where this is going.
Can I help you? Yes, have you got it? Does that arrangement include you paying me what we already agreed you owe me?
I understand your predicament as the manager. However, I feel I must remind you that we are here to conduct an important investigation that also affects your business.
Forgive me for saying this, but your colleague seems more committed to drinking, and...
He shrinks back a bit under the lieutenant's severe gaze.
I mean no offense. It's really nothing personal. I just have to protect the interests of this establishment. Good luck trying to use it. All the locks have an electronic component. They have to be unlocked down here with a master key before your guest key will open the lock. Not until you bring me the...
Okay. I might have something in my motor carriage we can use when you're done here.
I really didn't want to resort to this. The man is thinking.
Oh, Lieutenant, we're done here.
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull-out tool.
I have something here we could sell. Look in the back, in the suspect transport enclosure.
The cage at the back of the motor carriage looks rather uncomfortable. 4 shut.
I confiscated this for a little while back. We can take them to the pawn shop down by the Martinez Canal. Yes, there's one 100 meters south of here. I think it's called Roy's Nest or something, if I'm not mistaken.
Items that can be pawned at Bird's Nest Roy's appear in your inventory under the Items tab. You can pawn these items when talking to Roy.
A couple of weeks ago, I stopped a young man for going slower than the speed of traffic. Turns out he was some coalition official's son and high. That they are. I was going to take them into evidence, but they weren't necessary for conviction. He never asked. There are spinner hubcaps, frivolous things you put on your wheels. When the wheels come to a stop, the caps keep on spinning. There's no real use for them, it's just for vanity.
A vanity he wouldn't mind.
No, that would be silly. I don't know why I kept them. It doesn't matter. I couldn't put them on this MC anyway. A cup with spinners. That would be outrageous.
He flashes a smile, barely visible in the dark.
As I said, they are useless anyway. I should have remembered I have these early.
But thank you. The lieutenant nods as you take the spinners.
All right. Ready? I turn, you press start. It's next to the preheater.
He's downplaying his excitement. The lieutenant is more than happy to show off his precious. The dashboard lights up with orange glow. The rounds per minute gauge jumps, and the engine. The lights unfold with a little click, casting electrical light onto the ground.
There you go. I'll turn them off from the remote once you're done. We just need to stand in front of the machine now.
As you hold your ledger's clip under the headlamp, an iridescent hologram appears. A street grid and the veins of a great river. A familiar sensation washes over you.
There she is. Revachol West.
Around the borders of the watermark are dozens, no, hundreds of micro-perforations. There are many of them, and they are divided into 3 separate rows. The first row has 18 dots. Not bad for what? You don't even know what it means yet. The next is the longest. It runs all the way around the border, and then some. You count 216 perforations. Considering that nice, large number, a wave of pride washes over you, though you can't say why, precisely. The last row has 3 perforations. That's it. The rectangular watermark is overlaid with the logo of the RCM, and yet the major arteries of Revachol are all recognizable. They shimmer in the Kanema's headlights. You catch a faint glimmer from a broken beer bottle in the distance. Sounds. 2 men engaged in a drunken argument, followed by the closing of some distant window.
Ah, Martinez at night. Let me see. Right here. It has its problems. Those are perforations. They represent your record as an officer of the RCM. They are your statistics, as it were. I should have guessed you'd keep a record. Officers often do. Let's take a look.
Alpha male officers who are proud of their numbers often do. It's meant.
The first row represents your years of service. 18 years. Okay, not bad at all. What did you do before you volunteered? That's what it says. I might have guessed even longer based on your age. What did you do all those blissful years of your youth? Cool. I'm glad you joined us. Not a lot of money in doom crying. Let's move on, shall we? This next row, the one that wraps all the way around, is your number of closed cases. Closed is good. It means finished. You've got, let's see, wow, more than 200. It's quite a lot, even for someone who's been on the force for nearly 2 decades. Usually, clearing more than 10 cases a year puts you in the 90th percentile of all RCM officers. Call it what you want. You are a valuable member of your precinct. Now, let's look at the last row. Right. Those are your confirmed kills. You've got precisely 3 perforations there. For an RCM officer, especially Precinct 41, which is in the Jamrock quarter, it's rather tame. I mean that in a good way.
What's it feel like to kill a man, Mr. McCoy? A young woman asked the man across the desk from. Honestly, babe, says John McCoy, crossing his ankles over said desk. I don't feel anything anymore. It's just like brushing my teeth. I do it once or twice a week and don't really think about it. There's no trace of guilt in his voice.
There are certain officers who treat their kills like some kind of ghoulish game. If they do happen to solve a case, it's usually by accident. But it seems as though you are, or at least were, one of the good ones. So we have that to be thankful for. Yes.
It's not a problem for him to state it, however.
Everyone has their own method of coping. Some more effective or self-destructive than others. Personally, I find it helps to keep up a few hobbies. Par exemple, why not gardening? You've already got the yellow gloves.
It's meant in earnest. Please don't mistake it for a jab. The lieutenant nods.
Right. I'll go turn off the lights.
You can now see your statistics on your journal page, to the right of the task description.
Tremble. The time is now. Ta'ola. Time for the show. For Ta'ola. The hallowed time of fear and disintegration. A countdown has begun. All will collapse on itself. The world will disappear into a single grain of blackness. All sound will be muted. All life will scream. Ulogu Theodos, Xeno Zausin, Ipoli Osithian, Echondes Fronisin. Monday morning, the moment you arrived in this reality, are the first crack in the sheer face of God. From you it will spread. Yes, you spoke the words of the Palindropos and the houses of Pericarnassus. Items, people, even words will tumble. All will lose its meaning in the coming years. That is why you marked yourself. It's totally also a coping mechanism. The face of the woman fractures. There will be herd killing. We all become vapor. The worn and beaten wooden planks of the bench do not look over.
We can sit on benches after we've solved the murder.
You can revisit the bench if you ever need to pass the time when Lieutenant Kitsuragi is gone.
The dented yellow mailbox greets you. The box seems happy. A typical Martinez streetlight sits among assorted floor and table lamps.
If you don't mind, please put the flashlight away. Some of us have photonic sensitivity.
Photonic sensitivity is not generally acknowledged by the medical establishment.
I do appreciate it. It's not often that I see officers from the RCM in my pawn shop. What can I do?
His courtesy is not insincere, but he prefers being alone with his projector, just watching the movement of light across the walls of the shop.
Oh no, not at all. I guess I haven't had many customers lately. RCM or otherwise.
Who are your customers usually?
All kinds of people come through here. Local. As you can see, I have a wide selection of goods for everyone to choose from. It keeps me entertained.
Yes, we'd like to sell these hubcaps.
Roy takes the hubcaps from the lieutenant and inspects them. The spinners appear iridescent in the dancing.
Yes, these are very, very good. Did you defraud some foreign prince for them? Jump-a-mesque banger? No matter. I'll give you 200 real.
No one was defrauded or jumped, I assure you.
Of course. I meant no offense. 200 real for you, officer. Delightful.
Thank you. Here's the 130 real you need for your bill. Do not waste it.
The rest is for him, to compensate for the pain of being separated from his radiant spinners. The windfall is a small consolation.
Anything else you're thinking of selling? Anything else you're thinking of selling? I'm not purchasing any more clothing and especially that tie. It swallows photons around it.
Your mother is a necrotic object! I'm fun! Look at me sparking in the light!
Another time, perhaps. Sure, let me have a look. Anything else you're thinking of selling? Another time, perhaps. Someone else came here earlier today asking the same question. I promptly sold her the gun you pawned a couple days back.
This is a pawn shop, and it did feel as if you've met before. Oh God. The lieutenant shifts from one foot to another, alert.
She didn't seem like a policeman, although she kept referring to herself as a pig, which was odd. I found her interest in the gun a bit obsessive, but I was just happy to get rid of it. Truth be told, she was terrifying.
Right, so let me get this right. You sold your sidearm, issued by the citizens' militia, and now a civilian is running around the streets of Martinez with it?
Miraculously, his face does not reveal what's happening inside.
In that case, she'll be happy to get a visit from us, if we can find her.
You were adamant about getting rid of it, officer. Said you were undeserving of a service weapon of the Revachol Citizens Militia. And I don't like keeping guns around the shop for long. Off the charts photon emissions. The unhealthy kind.
He's not telling you the whole story. It seems he's trying to spare you.
You weren't quiet yourself, officer. You were very distraught. You said the gun was a threat to your life and that you can't trust yourself with it tonight. When I said that I don't normally buy firearms, you put the gun barrel in your mouth and sort of sucked on it. Then I agreed to take it. $15 real.
The lieutenant looks from you to Roy, and then back to you. It's clear that he hopes this tableau might still turn out to be a bad dream. It's not, though. This has got to be the most. Wow, there's pity there too, in case you didn't notice.
No apologies necessary, officer. My apologies, officer, but I have no idea where she was coming from or where she went.
A needle in a haystack. There is nothing you can do about it right now. You'll just have to hope Everard wasn't lying and the Union can track her down in time.
Maybe. Shady-looking guys came in here yesterday, looking like they'd just taken off their Wild Pines overalls. They asked if I have a police weapon to sell. I told them they went their way. It was a trip, but you know, all sorts of people come here, asking for all sorts of things.
Maybe Claire really is tracking down your gun.
People as oleaginous as Everard seem like they're lying, even when they're really being truthful.
Of course. I doubt it, but I can try and answer. I do my best to keep my distance from all manner of butchery. Bad.
He doesn't know anything. The pawnbroker's gaze is already fixed on the dancing colors.
Sure thing. Sure, man.
Hey, so we've been monitoring you internally, and now we know your Copo type. Yes, guess what's yours? That is only a ludicrous daydream. Guess again. You're the... That is only a ludicrous daydream. Guess again. You're the... No, you're the sorry cop. The cop who's sorriest. Let's make it official then. Huge lack of enthusiasm going on in here. What? Jealous of the sorry cop? I think they'll be fine. They'll be super, super fine. It'll be totally okay. You can dual Copo type from sorry to anything. Yes, yes, impotent rage and lamentation. Let's wrap it up? No, you don't. Come on. You'll be back to saying sorry in 2 minutes. Stop wasting time and begin the repentance. Wow. Okay. Fuck off. Maybe we were wrong about you then.